You are listening to the Chompcast, the weekly podcast of Swordchomp. My name is Morgan Barnes, and I am joined by the crew of Swordchomp. Joshua Fowler.
Hello, everyone.
Shea Layton.
What up?
And Anthony Fisher.
Hello.
We are Pokemaniacs today, so to speak. We have a special show, Pokemon Spectacular, so to speak. It is our headlining game that we are going to talk about. We're also going to run through some cool news stories, including No Man's Sky and Persona 5. So it should be a lot of fun. We've been waiting to do this since our Pokemon show last week, being as we're all huge Pokemon fans. But first, for our listeners, we haven't talked a lot. We haven't talked for like 2 weeks. We didn't record last week. It's been kind of hanging out over the holidays. I want to catch up with you guys. Let our listeners catch up with you a little bit before we start yammering on about Pokemons. Josh, my friend, how have you been? How's your holiday been this Thanksgiving?
Pretty good. A little more and less busy than usual. Normally I do Thanksgiving here just because not many others in the family can cook. And so everybody heads this way, and I cook a ton of food. But
oh, nice! You're the chef, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, usually cook. Yeah, way more than we need, and then I'm eating Thanksgiving dinner for the next week. But yeah, just scheduling it didn't work this year, so we ended up going to my mother-in-law's and eating there this year. And then they're going to come up for Christmas instead. So we switched them around.
Swapped holidays, yeah. I've had to do that before. Yeah, that's nice, man. Yeah, I haven't hit the phase of my life where I'm cooking for my family yet. I was actually talking about that today. Like, when is that day going to come where I'm actually cooking for my family for Thanksgiving? Because it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, as soon as you master macaroni and cheese, we'll be
step in the right direction. Mm-hmm. Well, glad to have you here today, Josh. Glad the holidays have been treating you well. Shea Layton, you have been a busy man this holiday season. How are you doing, my friend?
I am doing moderately well. I have been busy. Lots of working. It was another great season working retail. No, I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say I can hear it in your voice, man. I hear the enthusiasm.
Nah, yeah, I'm not a big Black Friday dude. But it wasn't so bad. I picked up a few games. I picked up Witcher 3 and I picked up Red Dead Redemption, so I can finally play those two games.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, yeah. I'm glad to hear it. So mostly just working, nothing too much with the family on Thanksgiving?
Nah, they went to a different city, and I was like, man, I don't want to travel that far. So I was kind of a shitty son. But I'm going to be back there I'm going to be back home next weekend anyways, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah, understandable. Well, thanks for being here today. We are glad to have you. And Anthony Fisher joining us today, brand new microphone as well.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Sounding good.
I took advantage of some Black Friday deals. I had my eye on this particular microphone, but it was at another retail location, and it was like $129, but I found it for like $89 at a GameStop. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go down to GameStop.
I wonder how you heard about that one.
Yeah. Well, actually, you linked me that package after I sent like a video to you guys.
Really? That's
yeah.
Funny.
I slowly hinted into the very end of that video. But apparently you guys didn't watch the video, so I'm very mad at you guys.
Is he fucking working, man?
Okay. Yeah, but yeah, I didn't get out too early. Actually, I got in late on the Black Friday bonanza where everybody's just going mad trying to find the deals. No, I took my leisure time and I got one. I mean, I just called up a GameStop and it was like 23 minutes drive from where I live. So me and my daughter headed out there, and they were a little busy, but I got my hands on it, and yeah, got a new mic. So I'm hoping that it'll.
It's crazy they still had
a lot
some
better.
With the there's always the holiday microphone rush with everyone going.
Yeah, right.
It's absurd.
Right?
Just like people have like 10 lined up around them.
No.
It's crazy.
Yeah, murdering people for that next.
Do you have microphones? Give me a microphone.
That's great. You spending some time with the family too, I take it.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah, Thanksgiving was great. Very humble Thanksgiving. My wife decided to cook everything, or not everything. She actually cooked all the sides, or just the pies. Actually, she cooked desserts the day before, and then day of, she did a little cooking in the morning time, and we had this little thing called a Dutch oven, and it cooked our turkey in about an hour and a half. So we had Thanksgiving dinner done by like noon. And I was
Wow.
like, yes, hell yes. And I was kind of hoping that we would do it before like 3 o'clock whenever the Dallas Cowboys played on TV. So I watched the Dallas Cowboys go 10-1, which was exciting. But yeah, other than that, I mean, just hanging out with friends, watching football, and enjoying some good food, and
Yeah.
playing some Pokemon.
Getting that family time. That's awesome. That's awesome here. Yeah, and same here. I mean, I just kind of my lady wanted us to go out to her parents' cabin because they had just bought a cabin, so they wanted to try it out, and it was like an hour and a half out of town. It was really nice, sort of getaway for us as well. Just kind of hanging out in the Montana wilderness. Almost too good. You kind of like it sucked being kind of cut off from the world, but like you kind of get in touch with kind of the quieter things, just family and being out there. Until everyone fell asleep, and of course I had to just play Pokemon for like 5 hours straight because I needed
that
that.
sounds terrible.
It was great. The whole day, it sounds fucked up, but the whole day I was just like, this is great. I'm having a good time. But when everyone falls asleep, I'm just gonna play the fuck out of some Pokemon until I pass out.
That's
But,
the way to go.
That's kind of my MO, which is sad. But it was great. It was a good time. It was family and a lot of delicious food, and got some Pokemoning Pokemoning. I'm always saying this slang around now. Pokemoning. Pokemon came at a good time this year with the holiday break. I think, regardless of how everyone ends up feeling about the game, I think the timing was pretty good. People on vacation and traveling and stuff. I know we were talking about that. That's just whether it was planned or just brilliant luck. I mean, it's a great travel game. So, but yeah. That's the game we're talking about today, Pokemon. I'm excited to talk about it with you guys. We've been playing Pokemon since we were kids, basically. And first impressions, I want to know how you guys felt, because for me, it's kind of won me over a little bit, even though I had a lot of issues with it initially that we'll probably get into. But it's kind of won me over. And I'm enjoying myself. But I wanted to kind of see, what you guys' first impressions were with the game. I'll throw it to you first, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting actually being 3D this time. Like, they've been slowly making it more and more 3D as they've gone, but it's always, not really been 3D. Yeah, and so it's actually got, actual character models and stuff like that, should be nice going forward.
So the visuals stuck out to you like right off the bat, nice and
yeah. Well,
that's interesting.
They stuck out for a couple reasons. First of all, being that they looked really good. Second of all, being that they looked too good for the 3DS, and actually the 3D is disabled because there's no way that machine can handle it if you turn it on 3D. It just wouldn't work. Also, it would break the cell shading. You can't really have 3D and cell shading. Those two just won't work together.
I noticed that actually that the 3D was disabled.
Yeah. So I mean, that would have had to been disabled just so it wouldn't look really awkward having two different outlines, since they all still have, they're all still just, the fake cell shaded outlines and everything. But then also because it looks so nice that there are frame rate issues with the game fairly often, like almost every fight. So yeah. It makes me wish I had the new 3DS. So, my game would feel like it's about to die all the time.
It's weird. Like I've only come across it during like the trials. Whenever you go up to trial, like the trial Pokemon has this aura around it, and for some reason I think that aura like slows down the frame rate in the game. And just slows
that one effect
all down.
Yeah, just It's like when
it's
there's
very
two
off-putting.
explosions that happen in GoldenEye at the same time. It's
That and whenever
Same
they
sort of
call
deal.
down a Pokemon too. If they
Mhm.
call down a Pokemon, like it'll slow down and you'll actually feel like there's like at least like a almost 6-7 second delay with your moves, and I was like, what is going on? Is my DS dying or something? Like, why would they actually let this go in a game like this? But I mean, it only happened to me during the trials matches, I guess, where you actually fight the trial boss. But other than that, I mean, everything else, yeah, the graphics look great to me. I guess I was so used to not playing my 3DS and just playing like the PS4 or computer gaming that whenever I got on there, I was like, oh yeah, this is Nintendo. This is Nintendo handheld
Yeah,
graphics.
that's what these. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's kind of like a little bit jarring because I haven't touched. I don't know about you guys, but I haven't touched my 3DS in a long fucking time. I pulled it out a little bit for some Mario to kind of get warmed up last week, but I was just like, whoa, yeah, we haven't touched this
Really?
3DS in forever. Yeah.
How do you take a shit then? I mean, that's kind of. I mean, the machine's purpose.
Cell phones. Yeah,
Cell
cell
phones.
phones.
I
That has
guess.
relegated to my new take a shit device, unfortunately.
Hmm.
The 3DS is too pristine. But yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because I was thinking the same thing, Fish. What were your first impressions, Shay?
I, I kind of ruined my first impressions because, as I told you guys, and I'll tell the listeners, I had decided that the beginning of my game was going to be spent going through the cutscene over and over again after the bridge to try and get the right nature, slash possibly a shiny for my starter, which turned out to be Rowlet, and that was a terrible, terrible idea. I spent over 3 hours, didn't even get the right nature, and
Oh no.
I was like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? And
Yeah.
I stopped. I like how it went was I was like 3.5 episodes deep into Supernatural as I'm doing this, and I'm like, oh my god, it's already like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I need to go do something. So I stopped doing that and I actually started playing. And once I actually started playing, it was a lot of fun. The graphics are much more impressive this time around, as Josh has pretty much stated. Weirdly enough, I felt a tiny bit of I don't want to say fatigue, but just like boredom because like the
Uh-huh.
consistent amount of tutorials was just like, and talking was like, why am I going through this? Like, and then I realized, this is kind of not a second coming per se of Pokemon because it's always been there, but just really they have to appeal to a bunch of new people because potentially Pokemon Go came out and
Yeah.
so they gotta appeal to all the new people and appeal to the old players. And I think the mentality there is, well, these old players are gonna always be there. They're not going anywhere, no matter what we do with the formula. And all these new players need to be integrated. But for the most part, it was pretty positive. Just a few nitpicky things here and there because I can never be truly satisfied with anything in my life.
Yeah, yeah, I mostly agree with you. I mean, my first impressions were a little off-putting as well. I mean, like initially, I thought there was too many old Pokemon. They took away the Dex nav, which I really loved. Like you said, Shay, there was a lot of exposition for maybe even new fans or for whatever reason. But I kind of with you on that. That's probably the reason. I didn't feel the love for the starters that a lot of other people did. And it's kind of it's the third 3DS Pokemon at this point, even though it looks fantastic. So maybe a little bit of that wonders kind of. So I'm kind of with you. My first impressions were along those same lines. But it kind of grew on me, like all Pokemon games do. I don't even know if that's because it's a particularly great game, but they do, like Josh was saying, they do a lot of smart things to streamline the experience for people, like little things like you don't have HMs now. Like there's just one fishing rod instead of three of them that I can tell. You can you get to ride Pokemon around to break rocks and stuff like that. And the general flow of the story, despite some of the things I had to get rid of that I was bummed out about, like the Dex Nav, the general flow is much better. I think the flow of the game is really well done.
Yeah. Well,